Hope you're all doing very well. You're probably thinking, who is this new guy on the Geek Legion of Doom? Well, my name is Adam, I'm from Australia, and Leo recently asked me if I wanted to join the team. So I'd be honoured to join the team. I'm a massive fan of what the Geek Legion of Doom delivers, and hopefully I can provide something that's going to push the channel even further forward. So if you want to subscribe to my private channel, it is View World Cinema. This is a channel I've been doing for quite a while. I specialise in foreign cinema, and my favourite genre is horror. So if that sounds like something for you, then hopefully my channel can provide something of use. So tonight we're going to have the first movie I'm going to be reviewing for this channel is a World War II film from Germany. This is directed by Ed Ehrenberg, and this film is called Here, The Silence. So Here, The Silence is set in the closing stages of World War II. The Russian forces have decimated a platoon of German soldiers, and a few of the survivors have sought refuge in this village. Now the village is located in the snowy mountains in a very remote area, and the villagers at first, they don't really trust these Germans, and they think that if the Russians catch these villagers helping the Germans, that they're going to be executed. So there's a lot of animosity, but that animosity starts to ease once they start to get to know each other, and that these German soldiers aren't as bad as they thought they were, so that bond is starting to form. But there are a few of these villagers that still have that hesitant sort of feeling, and that leads one of these villagers to do something that is basically going to wipe away all of the trust between these two groups, and it's going to basically spiral down into a set of devastating consequences. So what those consequences are is something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on Here, The Silence. The best way I can sum this film up is that it has a strong level of beauty mixed in with a strong level of ugliness. And it's, as I said, it's a very, very beautiful film. It's a beautiful film to look at, and it's got some beautiful characters in it as well. And a lot of these World War II films, you don't get that association with the bad guy. You know, with German soldiers especially, you've got Adolf Hitler, who's the most despicable man in history. And a lot of these directors are afraid to paint the German soldiers in a humane way. Is that if you don't have any human qualities to them, you can disconnect yourself. And when, you know, people like Adolf Hitler have done horrible things, if you can demonize everyone on Adolf Hitler's side, then all of a sudden you have that sense of satisfaction that these Nazis, these Germans are getting killed. But that's not realities of war. Reality of war is basically showing you the opposition being no different to what you are. And that's what I think Ed Ehrenberg does so well in this film. He gives you a very human connection in what was a very devastating time in history, in that you've got these German soldiers, and some of these German soldiers, they had families, they had jobs back in their homes, they liked football, and this is everything that we like as people as well. And so if you can't disconnect yourself, all of a sudden you've got that sense of tragedy that war brings, and it's basically intensified through this film, through the connections that the villagers and these German soldiers have. At the start there is that animosity, at the start there is that generalization that if you fight for the Germans you're a bad guy, but when they get to know each other, all of a sudden, alright, those generalizations are becoming non-existent, and all of a sudden these people are befriending these demonized people. And so if you can give a demonized person a little bit of humanity, all of a sudden it does have a lot of grey area. And so this is not a black and white war film. This is a war film that I think has the patience to really allow you to connect to demonized people, and that's the best way I can really sum that up. I thought the overall characters were fascinating. That is helped by some fairly good acting from everybody involved. I thought the cinematography was excellent. It's a very beautiful looking film, a lot of snow, and it's a very remote area, and it also gives you that harsh sort of environment and the harsh mentality that everybody had, is that it's very cold, it's very desolate and isolated, and you can sense that the soldiers and these villagers felt the isolation of humanity, basically lost in a corrupt world of violence. And later on the film, it demonstrates how corruptive and how destructive violence can be, and how that can cloud our judgment as well. So it's a very complex sort of character study of basically soldiers and civilians coming together and actually striking up a bond that you wouldn't initially get. So it's a challenging film, but I think it's definitely a very important film, because if you are to learn from war, you have to basically personify the devil. You have to get an insight into what we believe is the devil, and if you can't disconnect yourself and you can't desensitize yourself to the violence being inflicted on the bad guys, then maybe we will wake up and really see war for what it is. And so I just think Ed Ehrenberg does a great great job at that. So the soundtrack was very emotional as well, and it really does strike home what the whole film is. There's a strong sense of beauty, but underneath there's a strong sense of tragedy as well. So it's a tragic set of circumstances that's basically going to tear everyone apart. So there's some pretty shocking violence in the film that I thought was very pivotal to the overall film and the message that it was really trying to deliver. If I have a massive criticism of this film, unfortunately, I thought the last quarter of it and the real showcase of the film, where it starts to go in a very disturbing path, I thought that was rushed way too much. It was like the roller coaster when you're slowly going up and you're anticipating the grand finale. You're anticipating it to really strike home and be very exciting, but with the roller coaster, it's over before you know it. And unfortunately, when this film finishes, I couldn't recollect my thoughts. I couldn't let what was happening really seep into my mind to give you that emotional punch, to give you that sledgehammer sort of basically hit to the stomach that the movie really wants to do. Is because you do have a long time to really connect to these characters, but when the emotional and sort of the consequences of what's going on happens, because it's over so quick, it's basically a shock. And I just thought it was rushed. I don't know if it was budget constraints or time constraints, but it just felt like they had to rush it up very quickly, and it didn't really allow it to really sink into actually what was happening before it's all over. So I just thought that with a little bit more attention to the finish, it really would have been an absolutely fantastic film. But having said that, it's still a film I would highly recommend if you are a fan of World War II films and you want something that is going to hit you with a little bit of complexity as opposed to something that's just black and white. Good guy versus bad guy, bang, 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 they're dead, we feel happy. It's not a movie that's going to make you feel happy, and it's just going to show you the devastation of what war brings. So overall, for Hear the Silence, going to give it 6 out of 10. Definitely comes recommended, especially if you are a fan of war films. Alright guys, that's it for my review. Hopefully I'll be back very soon to do another review for the Geek Legion of Doom. So until then, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later. Bye.